Indonesia. And then last but not least, Twinkle. Twinkle, she's from the Philippines, and she will be discussing her work also. Memorable mention. Honorable mention. Okay, I think we can start with this.
Are you sure the other speakers don't want to join me yet? No? Not yet?
They are afraid, you don't want to go to the floor. Ini silakan. Ya, silakan. Please, silakan duduk sini. Okay, please.
It's really because of your work that we want to honor you, so please do take care. Do you want to come here? Okay. Well, we'll start then. Thank you for joining. Thanks to all of you for joining this evening as well, in spite of the heavy rain outside. I was a bit nervous when I first arrived. I didn't see anybody. But then, knowing of Leah and the team, great work here at the SEAJunction Center, every time when we come together, there's always amazing group of people like yourself always come and join. So again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to also congratulate the artists here. Your great work, and I look forward to hear from you as well. So as Leah introduced me, my name is Khin Ohmar. I'm a long-term Myanmar human rights and democracy advocate. When I say long-term, believe it or not, it's 37 years. I started when I was 20 years old as a student activist back in 1988 during the nationwide democracy uprising that I was a part of mobilizing of that. And since then, I never stopped. And in that never stopping 37 years, I had a long time also many years of non-stop engaging with the ASEAN. When I say engaging with the ASEAN, people would probably think that I'm in the meetings with the different officials. No, that's not the case, because the ASEAN has always been a closed door, elite power, elite clubs where the space for the civil society like us were never really provided. And yet, the ASEAN civil society among all of us in the 10 countries plus now, plus one, the Timor-Leste, that we have joined hands together. I started engaging with the ASEAN in 2004, but that was very early. And then by 2005, it's become a non-stop in this ASEAN civil society movement. And that was the time that ASEAN was also, Leah, you have to stop me if I'm going over time, yeah? Thank you, no? That was the time when the ASEAN was coming to also like build the region to be more rule-based, where they started to draft this charter. And as the civil society, we come every year in what we call as the ASEAN Civil Society Conference. Later, we also call ASEAN Civil Society Conference / ASEAN People's Forum to make sure that grassroots communities, people's movement like the Assembly of the Poor, or those who are, like really fighting on the ground for their basic rights, like the labor rights, they are all a part of it. So when we came together, we look at the ASEAN where it's going to, like set out, as they claim. And that was the time when they started to come up with this charter. And we look at it and we were very concerned because there were nothing concrete or substantial that we see as is going to really bring the people, space in the region where our well-being, the regional people's well-being will be really protected. Or in other words, their fundamental basic human rights. We don't see there is any protection of human rights in the charter. Yes, some will say that this is better than nothing, right? Because they are saying like, look at the European Union. We want to become European Union. We're like, great. But let's look at where is the founding, the common political ground of the ASEAN. I mean, as you see from there on until now, every country has a different political system, which is more authoritarian, if not the military. Of course, there are some with the, Indonesia, we look up to Indonesia democracy, we look up to Thailand democracy. To some extent, we see as people of Myanmar who have struggled for democracy since 1988. We look at the Philippines because of the 1986 Marcos, anti-Marcos regime, Thai and all of that, the democratic transformation. But then when we come to see as the civil society collectively in the region, of course there are many flaws and shortfalls that we found, including there is no such common ground or the common political system, where what we come to see of today's topic, the very two founding principles, one is this non-interference, the other is the consensus decision making. The non-interference from that time of the ASEAN leaders' perspective, who were the founding fathers of the regional bloc, like 5 countries, I could kind of imagine from their perspective politically, knowing of the geopolitical reason, having China around, but where are the people in their thinking? That's where my mindset. In 2008, the then ASEAN Secretary General, Dr. Sciortino, he came to our conference. And I approached him and talked to him. And I came to know him because also he's very supportive of the Burmese democracy movement. So I talked to him and I said, it's very frustrating for us to see that Charter has been adopted with so many of these shortfalls. You cannot really find the essence of democracy. You cannot really find anything that will protect the people's rights. And when the ASEAN Intergovernmental Human Rights Commission was established, we were even more concerned because it became a very intergovernmental agency where only the governments will apply the people. And then what really more trouble us by then is this non-interference principle and the consensus decision making came into the actual problematic for all of us in the region. Why? Because that time also there was the Myanmar military regime led by General Dai Shui. So of course the military regime is the one who sent the representatives from Myanmar to all of these platforms, including the Human Rights Commission, Women and Children Commissions. But when these people representing the military regime came, they said, you cannot talk about Myanmar. You cannot talk about rape against the ethnic women in the ethnic regions. You cannot talk about Rohingya. So basically, nothing about Myanmar can be even put on the agenda. Well, in that case, we said, okay, let us engage with the other representatives from Indonesia, from Thailand, But then, for them, these representatives, century representatives to the Human Rights Commission also told us, well, we cannot receive your documents officially. So basically, they wouldn't even take our reports. And then we will go to Jakarta, go to the Secretariat office, try to knock the door from outside with a big protest and ask the Secretary General to open the door for us and receive our letter? Absolutely no. So in that case, we came to the conclusion, this is just a club of dictators. It's a club of the power elites who actually, all of these frameworks that they have put together in the name of the people, like caring and sharing community. You look at all of these beautiful wordings. I mean, I congratulate those who came up with those beautiful concepts. But when it comes to the actual power people in power, they wouldn't do it. So we are in trouble with this particular principles. And of course, like Leah said, for Myanmar, it's even worse. And I remember Dr. Sciortino told me, can Omar be patient? I told him, that was 2008. I told him, Dr. Sciortino, Secretary General, I will be patient if Myanmar. But that was 2008. Now Myanmar is far more on fire, where the military is using the airstrikes against the civilians. In the last 3.5 years, more than 3,400 airstrikes being hit against the civilians. Children who are playing in the daylight, playing on the school ground, are being hit by the hospitals, IDP camps. Now we have more than 3.3 million who had to be displaced from their homes and villages because of these military attacks, including these airstrikes. and yet ASEAN continue to just keep going as their business as usual. But just in closing, I want to also acknowledge they actually take step out of their comfort zone. When it comes to this particular current conflict or crisis in Myanmar, the ASEAN actually took a step, making an unprecedented decision where they, in 2021, they decided not to invite their military contest chief, Myanmar, to the ASEAN summit. But for us, that's not enough. Not having him in the meeting is not enough at all, because what ASEAN should be doing is, as the 5-point consensus for Myanmar laid out, the very first point is to stop the violence. And yet now you see the violence or the airstrikes just increase. So that's the very reason the people of Myanmar are very frustrated, complete lack of trust in ASEAN. And yet what we are still trying is, let's have this ASEAN not block the international community's actions, because right now, with the ASEAN 5-point consensus, the whole world, including the United Nations, is hiding behind ASEAN. We need the international actors to go beyond. And that's where we are at the moment, and I want to just share with you that regardless of the ASEAN and the UN and international community, as you will see, if you see on the ground, Myanmar has moved forward itself. The people of Myanmar has advanced themselves with their struggle to topple this Myanmar military. And I think this is where we are telling the ASEAN, let's not waste the time and just get on board with the people of Myanmar, so that peace in Myanmar and stability in Myanmar will definitely be also the peace and stability in the ASEAN. I'll end here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this gloomy picture of ASEAN and Myanmar. I think I want to give the word to Dewi before we go to the cartoonist, because she can tell us a little bit about the work of Gandjar with ASEAN and what they're trying to do with transitional justice.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the opening of the exhibition. So we've been working together with SEAJunction since a long time ago. So this is one of our collaboration. For short, we are actually working for human rights and transitional justice in Southeast Asia. We've been working in Indonesia, in post-conflict area, or like the ongoing conflict country. For example, in Indonesia, we are working with Papua, and then in Myanmar as well, we have our representative Alari from Myanmar. Also with Timor-Leste as well, and who I forgot to mention, yeah, I think throughout the country. We've been doing so many workshops about transitional justice for the activists, and human rights NGO within the countries. And also we've been doing the advocacy with the ASEAN as well. So that's a bit about Gandjar, and I hope my wish for this exhibition is that everyone can reflect on the principles that is actually hindering our movement. And I hope by this exhibition we can start to give more empathy and what is the solidarity, start to make that solidarity movement together. Thank you.
Thank you. And indeed, a big issue also for ASEAN, I think, is what she's saying about this area of Indonesia. Aceh, Timor-Leste, Indonesia at the time, and of course Papua is again, and now we see the new president of the country who was involved in some of this issue at the time in the 70s, 80s. So we are seeing all over the region a return to authoritarian regime, and this is another worrisome trend, because ASEAN, after all, is composed by the country in the region. So ASEAN is not on itself, it's a reflector of the country in the region. But now we go to the more cartoon aspect and the importance of political cartoonists And here I am going to ask Steve, who doesn't like to talk, but luckily he accepted to do so today. So please do tell us a little bit more about political cartoon. Yeah.
Okay. So I will probably be less talkative to the two previous persons because talking is not really my skill. I prefer to express myself on a piece of paper. I've been a political cartoonist for about 30 years. But unfortunately, political cartooning is not really in good shape now. We have a lot of problems. Basically, the chief editor now they don't want to make waves. They get easily intimidated by readers who complain about few things, get offended easily. But you know the story. So basically, we lose our jobs. I lost my job in 2019. I was working for The Nation for 16 years. The Nation was the second English language newspaper here in Bangkok. I lost my job because basically they stopped publishing at that time. But I found out that it was increasingly more difficult to get any job with any newspaper because the trend was to lay off cartoonists. And even the New York Times, the cartoonist of the New York Times at that time, named Shapat, he was fired exactly at the same time than me because the New York Times didn't want to take the risk anymore with cartoon. So when you see the New York Times giving up cartoon, you say, wow, that's really a bad trend. But then satire is not dead. You can see a lot more and more cartoonists who express themselves on social media. They express more freely, sometimes in a dangerous way as well, because you have no chief editor to edit your work. So you, for example, there's a trend now. You see more extreme right cartoonists, which is something you wouldn't see in the past. 99% of cartoonists were leftists. Typical leftist people, and now it's a new trend. You remember that chapter also where there was plenty of Myanmar cartoonists who went totally berserk and become racist against the Rohingyas. And there was a big story actually in Europe. Everybody was wondering what happened. I mean, cartoonists are not supposed to be like that, to behave like that. So it was a kind of dangerous trend. Like it means even cartoonists get easily manipulated by the fake news. Basically, that's what happened in Myanmar. And this made also chief editor more worrisome about using political cartoon. It happened also after Charlie Hebdo. I'm French, so I know very well about Charlie Hebdo trend. After the Charlie Hebdo, everybody was, we are Charlie, but at the same time the chief editor was saying that they were starting to stop employing cartoonists. So many cartoonists were very angry about that. It means at the end the intimidation did work because people didn't want to take any risk anymore. So I'm pessimistic and optimistic at the same time. Pessimistic for the purely future of political cartoon. But at the same time it's been replaced by the meme on social media. The meme are fantastic, sometimes they're extremely funny. they are exactly like political cartoon, except that they use photo, they use text, but it's exactly the same basically. And they are extremely creative. There are plenty of there's an emergence also many stand-up comics, humorists, sorry. So satire is just taking a new way to express, but I'm optimistic about that. I mean, the human spirit still love to laugh about themselves, and yeah, there's a lot of creativity on the net. So it's just the political cartoon is a bit starting to die by itself. But as long as people say the same thing in a different way, it's fine. So what else? So I've been the judge for one of the judge for the comic strip competition, comic strip and political cartoon. So the way I choose myself the cartoon was I just look at them if I was a chief editor and look at the clarity of the message. I really didn't look much on the graphism. Most graphism, you see basically young artists are very good. They have a fantastic graphism. I mean, they're much better than me. But what typical a young cartoonist lack is a kind of maturity, political maturity, but also a clear sense of what they really want to say. So I mean, it really you sometimes they just for many young people human rights, for example, is a nice thing, but they don't really have a clear idea how to defend it and how to express it in cartoon. So basically the main criteria to choose cartoon would be clarity of the message. It can be a very nice comic strip, but if too much thing, there's only one message per cartoon. It's the rule. If after the rule of political cartoon, it must be clearly understood in let's say 20 seconds, not more than 20 seconds. If you start to think, what does he want to say, I'm not sure about that, so it fails. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, I don't know what to say more. If you have any question, you can ask me. I'm more to say. It's more for me to answer the question than just talking. I don't know what really interests you about the cartooning job. I wouldn't advise any young people to get into this profession now because it's really difficult to get paid anyway, to find a newspaper who has the balls to publish you. Maybe extreme right newspaper, maybe. No, honestly, unfortunately, I see extreme right media who are more willing to publish, and maybe that's one of the reasons some cartoonists they get into this kind of trend. But that's very unfortunate.
Okay, let's conclude here before we get more from what you are saying, but we will open the floor and on question to you, and I think what's very interesting was what you say, especially the capacity to really communicate a message in a few words, and I think some expect us to do that. There are some artists out on the floor, but not everyone wants to be identified, so we are complementing them two at the same time. These are just two of the ones that could be openly available with us. Nah, silakan Pak Gandjar mau cerita apa? Ini ada juga Dewi, jika perlu kita terjemahkan bersama. So we will translate what you say.
Om Swastiastu, Om Namastu, Sugeng Rahayu. Oke, saya 35 tahun bekerja di newspaper, ya, jadi cukup lama. Mengapa saya harus berpindah ke komik dan karikatur? Jadi ada satu cerita pahit tentang pengalaman saya adalah ketika saya menjadi penulis dan ketika saya menulis mengkritik sebuah perusahaan yang sangat kaya dan saya buktikan undang-undangnya ada. Kemudian datang 3 orang tukang pukul ke kantor saya. Bahkan pimpinan redaksi di sebelah saya tiba-tiba pergi aja. Dia mengancam saya dengan motor, dengan muka yang marah, masuk ke dalam kantor saya. Kemudian saya dilarang untuk memperbaiki untuk menulis lagi, kemudian untuk segera memperbaiki tulisan saya. Karena saya ketakutan, jadi saya berubah. Sejak itu saya menjadi cartoonist.
So he's telling about the experience, the bad experience he had. I will summarize. The bad experience he had, why he became a cartoonist. He actually wrote a story and he proved that the company was wrong. He had all the story and all the facts about the company, and then 3 people came to the office to beat him up, and basically his boss refused to say he cannot write any more stories.
Lalu kalau saya buat satu gambar melalui komik atau karikatur, mereka paham, tetapi tidak marah, ya. Karena politik di Indonesia itu jahat, tetapi harus pandai-pandai menyalahi, ya. Jadi kita harus pandai-pandai mengatur bagaimana menggambar, jadi harus hati-hati. Rupanya kalau saya buat komik, mereka tidak marah.
So he changed to comics, and he proved that with comics he could be, he say, politics in Indonesia is very bad, very dark, very bad. But you have to be careful, and you need to be able to say things in such a way that people don't get offended or they become violent, like in the case of the people. And comics gave this possibility.
Oleh karena itu, kartun saya buat wajahnya agak lucu, ya, giginya besar-besar, karena itu memang wajah orang Indonesia. Jadi mereka tertawa.
So he makes the comics like you can see outside the ASEAN lowland. He made with the teeth, ears, and this is the face of Indonesian people, and maybe his face he made yesterday. So this is a funny way of representing Indonesian and a serious issue with funny cartoons.
I choose. What? Okay, I choose him first as well because I was really impressed by the characterization of each ethnic group. It was really wow. It was impressive because I've done that. I've tried to do that for a long time, like trying to different side. Filipino from Indonesia, from Cambodian guy, and I was wow. This guy managed to do it so wonderfully, and not only the people, but the kind of owls, the kind of costume also. So it was I was kind of impressed. And I'm not surprised you're a mature person. I was not expecting a young person who can do that actually.
We have young people, we have younger people, and we have very young people. We have the whole range of people, but in the maturity of yeah, like it was said, was appreciated by the judge, the capacity to tell about ASEAN, tell about the issue of ASEAN, and also representing the different countries of ASEAN, because Asian lowland is the parallel of the real ASEAN, and you will see that there is still all the 11 countries of ASEAN are represented in the way that people are. So silakan.
Oke, saya kira itu saja. Selamat menyaksikan gambar-gambar yang
Mungkin mau cerita tentang apa cerita?
Oh, ya. Pandangan saya tentang ASEAN itu adalah sebenarnya negara ASEAN itu memiliki karakter dan culture yang sama, dari same karakter dan culture. Cuma perbedaannya itu pada bahasa saja ya. Saya ke Malaysia, ke Singapura atau ke Bangkok sama karakternya, cuma bahasa yang berbeda. Secara keseluruhan pemimpin-pemimpin juga maaf, I'm sorry, sangat ingin menguasai posisi-posisi tertinggi, selalu berebutan. Kalau saya lihat berita. Karena itu dalam komik itu saya ceritakan persoalan-persoalan setiap negara, supaya walaupun penyampaiannya mungkin kasar, tapi dengan wajah yang lucu, saya berharap mereka bisa tertawa. Itu saja. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
So he's saying that people of ASEAN are similar, are similar culture, mind, etc. And the leader, excuse himself for saying this, but the leader are also the same. They all want power, and they all want to basically do everything for that power. And he tried to represent this in the story of ASEAN, but in a funny way that will not get a negative reaction. Okay, this is the translation of Gandjar, and later on you can ask more about the details of him and his work outside, but let's go to Twinkle. Yes, please.
Yes, hello, Twinkle from the Philippines. So, firstly, I'm not really an artist by career. It's just my hobby and side projects. So, I was part of the protest groups in the Philippines, starting the time of. I've been very active during the time of Duterte because it was really bad. And then, what we do is we build effigies that we burn on the protest. I'm part of the production of that. And then with regards to my work, so when I was teaching in the state university in the Philippines, I handle humanities, so I teach about ASEAN. And all we know about them is they're just part of the regionalization for the development, the economic development of the region. That's it. Nothing more political than that. So when it comes to when the leaders gather, we are not really that interested in what they have come up, right? We are not interested in what they talked about. So we have no idea what the organization is for. So we have in the Philippines we have limited knowledge of ASEAN, and then with regards to my work, during the pandemic I realized that we can connect with other people from the region, because what happened is during the pandemic we are very helpless in the face of the authoritarian government of the third. So it's very dangerous during that time, because when you complain, you can go to jail. If you're very unlucky, you'll just get shot by the police if they want to. So just the same situation as Myanmar, and I'm not sure about the other countries, but during that time we have the same sentiments about what is the climate, the political climate in the region. So what else? It's very dangerous. And then I also draw cartoons during my free time. I post it on social media. I'm not working for any newspaper. But before I was an editor. I write. I do not really submit comics, so it's easier to distribute it that way. I have a following on some platforms, but when it comes to serious messages, you can't really convince the Filipinos to read the serious message. All they want is the humor. They cannot really go deeper in the issue because we have a lot of political cartoonists. They have a lot of fans, and it's actually very popular. People buy their work, but they also have that political message, which is very, what do you call this? Very, they stand up against our current governments like Marcos and Duterte. There's just a transition then. Although there is, their message is very clear to the people. So the people know what our government is doing, but they refuse to do something about it. Even during our last elections, it was very heartbreaking to have that kind of result. And then I tried to connect with my activist groups back then. And then I suggested that why not connect with other countries from the region. If you really wanted to intensify your protest against this election, you need outside support. We cannot, I mean, as a country, you know what's happening, people do not appreciate each other in this country, but then if that's actually the culture of the people, they want outside validation always. So in order to get that, why not get some support from the region, not just Europe, not just America. I mean, we have, we're just nearby, right? The only problem is there are some countries which are islands and then the mainland. But of course, since it's easier to connect right now, we have the internet and such. So, with that comic, so just the background of the Military Alliance, I think that movement started in Thailand. So I was following that during the pandemic, you know, people are unemployed. So I followed that idea where people find common ground in pop culture. So the youth are really interested on what they can do to combat the governments. Like all over ASEAN countries, I have observed that the leaders are very power hungry and they like to stay in power. All they do is curb down the rights of the citizens and taxation. As we have a lot of taxes and it's very frustrating because of the debt that Duterte accumulated during the pandemic. I mean, I've been comparing our country. I mean, like, I always joke about, okay, because Cambodia is one of the countries that we use as a reference point when it comes to development. And then I have some friends who joke, okay, where's the Cambodia right now? Where are we at? Because impunity, injustice is tolerated here. And not just tolerated. We already came to a point that it's celebrated. Which is, that's why when we try to coordinate with other activist groups from other countries, they just want to ride the most popular, like Taiwan, the movement in Taiwan. We thought that during that time we will have a shift in the paradigm of the government in the region, but that did not happen. I wonder why. People are aware, people are already protesting, they are expressing their opinion, and then when it comes to people who are expressing their thoughts against the government, right now we don't have a problem like before during Duterte's time. We are not have death threats, alright? So people who are not popular, what happens to them is their privacy is invaded and such. Okay, so people there are free, they can freely express what they feel about the government. And then I wish some they can also relate that to the region. So there. And then about my work, just background of that. It's more on a story about Thailand, Myanmar, and how they help each other during the coup. So the main characters there are, the difference because the youth right now, they all look the same, they wear dress the same. So in order to differentiate them, I just use the naming conventions in the region because that's all that can be identified. So yeah, that's all. If you have questions.
So that is the story is the Multi Alliance. So actually it is about this alliance of youth movement that starts in Hong Kong and then Hong Kong, Thailand, the three universal rules and all the rest, but done in a coffee shop. So it's again parallel work but reflecting on the Multi Alliance, and she got a special mention for that, for the youth spirit, the celebration of the Multi Alliance, which these days somewhat less visible than it used to be, but is still very much there. So with this we are going to open the floor, and again there are some of this, no cartoonist here represented, but there are some. I think here a very young one. Yes, please, Stephane. Okay, she is one of the cartoonists downstairs. You can also see her work, and there are some more, I can say, not visible here, present but not visible. So please, any questions, comments, or others, feel free to ask. Yes, here first and then to the back.
I don't know who this goes to really, but I'm wondering about how different kinds of new media relate to the sort of cartoons that we see in the past. I'm thinking traditionally we imagine the cartoon in a newspaper, maybe just a single panel or a small number of panels. What has been the impact of, say, online distribution and also longer forms like graphic novels? Are these also providing opportunities for people to do visual expressions on political questions?
Hi, my question is for Stephane. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? My name is Peter. I'm a former journalist, and I've been an admirer of your work for a long time. They're very memorable. I'd like to ask you, if somebody opened up a far-right newspaper in Thailand,
We'll talk louder because
I'm sorry. If somebody opened up a far-right newspaper in Thailand, far-right, as you were talking about, extreme right, newspaper in Thailand, and they were willing to hire you and pay you maybe $1 million baht per panel, would you do it? Would you consider it?
we have one more question, and then you all can answer. Please, Ben.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Really, really amazing work. Just had a quick question. I was wondering, do you have any stories you can share about the subject of some of your political cartoons and their reaction to them? Did you have anyone get really upset about some of your cartooning? I also wonder if anyone from ASEAN in particular has responded to this particular exhibition. Thanks.
Okay, first start from, I don't know, where should we start? Would you accept 1 million baht for
Of course not, but the funny thing about about cartoonists is sometimes you can have a kind of right cartoonist who work for a communist newspaper. In France, it's not. Yeah, there was actually. I remember there was that guy got killed during the Charlie Hebdo attack. Volinsky. Volinsky used to work for Peray Match, and Peray Match was very much how to say right, not extreme right, but quite right magazine. And he was a communist, and it was no problem. So basically, as long as the chief editor allow you to express yourself, you can even say what you want in a far right magazine. I mean, it's possible. You can make fun of some far right policy or some far right way of thinking. I'm thinking we have a far right newspaper in France that is still moderate in a way. It's not Fox News. It's just very right, very far right, but it's not a Nazi magazine. And you could have some very normal cartoon in this kind of magazine or newspaper. So basically, that's not impossible to work for a far right newspaper as long as you're allowed to do what you want. In a way, it would be even more interesting to talk to people who have a certain far-right mentality and try to convince them in a different point of view. But in theory, because in practice it doesn't work. We know exactly that it is impossible to convince the other camp of changing their mind. So, and it's getting worse and worse in that sense. But I would say, yeah, I don't know. Of course, I mean, basically, I wouldn't take it. But the nation was not very considered or very. At some time, it was considered extremely conservative. But they would let me do exactly what I wanted. So even some bad cartoon I publish is my own fault. It's not the responsibility of my chief editor or the whole editorial who said you have to follow a line. I was totally free to do whatever I wanted. So.
Another question.
Yeah, we got in trouble from time to time. It's part of the job. We enjoy it, I must say, because it means we love to push the button. We love to exacerbate the sensibility or the so-called sensibility of readers, because sometimes it's just, I mean, they are making this up, you know. They're not really offended. They just need to complain. But yeah, I got in trouble with the Jakarta Post because there was one of my cartoons I was accused of blasphemy. And the chief editor of the Jakarta Post was in trouble for 2 years, and until he was relaxed by the. But yeah, there was I did that cartoon about Islamic State. You remember the sign of Islamic State? There's a kind of okay, in Islamic is mentioned. Allah is great. Muhammad is his prophet. But I didn't know that. Apparently, the chief editor was Chinese, didn't know that as well. And I make a school instead of the one. I put a school on but I kept the wording exactly the same. So it became a big problem because I didn't know the wording. Actually, I can't read Arabic, so. And the cartoon was about people executing and beheading some people in the desert. So it was kind of a gruesome cartoon. And then, he was accused of blasphemy, but at the same time, you could reverse the argument and say those people who have this Allah is great and beheading people are the one who using the name of God in the wrong way and are creating their own blasphemy. So Yeah, you can get in trouble for things like you don't. I get in trouble also for no, I didn't get in trouble because the chief editor saw it on time and he totally take out the cartoon before it get published. But I put the white uniform, the royal white uniform that the Thai official wear during certain ceremony, like paying tribute to the king. They all use this white uniform. I mean, even teacher, even any official. And there was a cartoon when I put some big lizard in this uniform. And the guy, he was not the chief editor, he was the opinion editor, saw it on time and said, my God, if that cartoon had been published, we would have been in so much trouble. I mean, and I didn't know that white uniform was representing the connection of official with the king. So it was, you get in trouble from time to
Another
time.
question about the change from print media to the social media and the implication of that.
Yeah, the problem with social media, we get less seen because the problem, especially Facebook, we got the algorithm. They go after political cartoons. So as soon as they identify you are trying to post a cartoon, you are seen by only 5 friends, and that's it. You show your breakfast to everybody, you 100 or 200 friends see it. So it's really, we were talking with some cartoonist friends at one time that we should pressure the GAFA for this kind of thing. I mean, political cartoons should be promoted on social media instead of being totally ghosted by social media, because but I mean, I suppose all these people in power in social media, they are afraid themselves that we make fun of them. So again, they are not better than all these newspapers who don't want to have any weights and prefer not to have cartoons. It's difficult to be seen on social media.
Twinkle, and then I will translate for Gandjar. So you want to comment on maybe example of your work that have created some backlash, or what has been your experience?
Not really backlash, but then some people always joke about, the 30s coming after you. Right now, it's the time of Marcos, so I'm drawing about the government. So nothing serious as far as joking, because I remain anonymous on the internet. I do not publish using my real name. It's dangerous. One thing, they can get your licenses cancelled, so I'm avoiding that. It's difficult to get civil services if you have a reputation that you are from the left. Leftists have a very hard time, and then they will tell, okay, you should not avail of government services because you always say something bad about them. I'm like, okay, I still pay my taxes, but seriously, I'm not voting. But then maybe I will create some series about the next year's election. So to spread the idea. So not information, but people do not process information anymore the same way before the internet. So you just give them some thought about the election right now. They are always pushing for the automated ones. I mean, it's not effective. There have been investigations. I'm not sure why it's not reaching the upper echelons of our government. After the 2020 elections, we petitioned to audit, but nothing's happening. We don't get outside support. I mean, I always mention to the left groups there, I mean, I'm not active, I'm not an officer, I'm just like observe or I participate. I mean, I'm someone reliable, but then I always tell them if we don't get outside support like from our neighboring countries, I mean, we don't really have to rely on Europe and America anymore. We have our neighbors. I mean, if we don't like voice out our opinions, if we don't group together, if we don't organize ourselves as citizens, our governments are always going to repress our rights. We won't have any say in their policy making and the decision making. And then at the end of everything, it's the people that suffers all of those decisions and policies. So yeah, that's it.
Pak Gandjar, ini tentang dua mungkin pertanyaan. Satu, perubahan dari print media menjadi social media, apa pengaruh pada komik dan kartun. Dan kedua, pengalaman apa kartun apa yang Anda sedang buat yang ada reaksi dari publik negatif atau positif. Pengalaman yang bisa di-share. Yang political kartun, bukan yang desain biasa ya.
Perpindahan dari media cetak ke media sosial itu memang banyak membuat wartawan agak kecewa karena tidak bisa menyampaikan secara langsung pikiran-pikiran seperti opini yang dapat lain. Sementara media sosial tidak ada basic dasarnya apa, itu sehingga membuat para politisi yang itu merasa biasa-biasa saja. Kalau membuat politisi itu merasa tidak dikritik.
So the change from print media to now a lot of social media for journalists has been a disappointment because they cannot write in detail about issues and also evidence-based. In social media it's kind of everyone opinion and politicians don't get too upset. I mean, they know it's passing by, so to say. It's not like a serious opinion piece. Yeah. Dan dari pengalaman kartun, yang reaksi apa pada kartun-kartun yang Anda buat atau?
Ya, kalau membuat kartun itu pernah suatu hari saya membuat kartun begini. Media di Indonesia itu kalau terjadi satu masalah terhadap wartawannya itu menurut saya kurang bertanggung jawab. Suatu hari saya membuat kartun tentang kedutaan Australia yang memberi makan singa di kebun binatang, sementara di Indonesia pada saat itu kelaparan gitu. Nah, saya membuat kartun saja gitu. Mana lebih sayang, manusia atau. Nah, teguran dari kedutaan Australia itu ke tim Red itu mencari aman. Saya disuruh membuat surat pernyataan maaf ya tapi daripada ibu dan adik saya nggak makan, saya akhirnya mengikuti aturan itu.
So he's giving one example of a problem case. He made a cartoon and he thinks there is not enough support among journalists when there are problems. So in this case, he made a cartoon about Australian embassy giving food to lions in the zoo. At the time when Indonesia there was problem about anger among the population about who they love more. And that was kind of the question. And the embassy brought to the editor of the newspaper, and then he had to make a statement where he asked for forgiveness for that rather than being defended by for his opinion on that. So that is one of the experience we can share. Okay, no defense for that. And also from other, it was said from other journalists, there is not like a collective. When someone gets in trouble for the experience. Okay, we take the last round and then we have some food and we can continue the conversation. Okay, you want newspaper? Well, it's not going to. mau nggak bicara judulnya, apa nama newspaper, nama koran yang dulu tidak membela Anda ya, kasus Australia, jika tidak mau tidak apa-apa. Well, Indonesian Observer is established by Prabowo. Additional information is not a big newspaper, I mean, in terms of number, but of course politically it's especially now relevant, and Sinar Harapan, which was quite large newspaper. Okay, a question or comment? Or
How do you think AI will affect people's jobs who are political cartoonists and comics? How do you think people's jobs will be affected by AI?
one moment, I say.
I think, Twinkle, you mentioned if I heard you right, that many times people are in the Philippines not interested in the more hard-hitting or critical comics, and are more interested in humor. I'm curious for you and anyone else on the panel, if you have thoughts on how to make important issues more resonant and appealing with a wider audience, so that the general public in a democracy or any society is engaged in important issues.
Wait, one field, and then I don't forget it. Yeah, Khin.
Hi, Phil Robertson. I was intrigued when I first heard about this because when I think about ASEAN, I can't think about anything that's funny about it. So I guess I would ask you, what was the challenge you faced in trying to make a very unfunny topic funny?
I'm going to join Phil also on that particular question. Yeah, I mean, like, really, like, not only I was intrigued, but also I was actually, Phil, I was very happy to see that. And, you know, just to see this ASEAN being on the comics, you know, as a cartoon. Linking to that, my question also goes to Leah. Will you or all the artists bring this work to different countries, to the public, like here, but even go beyond to the very people of the different countries? And that would be the question to the SEAJunction. But also I want to come back to Stephane as well, is my apology if you are already doing that, but in case of our country, throughout different generations, we really rely on the political cartoons for us to be able to read, you know, like, not in between the lines, but within that, you know, whatever comes out here, and we look at it like, what is it all about? Because when there is absolute, like, lack of freedom of expression, when the whole media and press and all informations are totally controlled by the state, this is a way out also for the people, not only to get the information, but also to have the critical analysis, or the critical analysis of what is really happening, you know, to their life and communities around. So to me, is hearing from Twinkle and also Brother, is there a way for you, or if you are already doing that, if you could share, for the young generation to be able to come to learn all of this, what you have done, so that this young generation can actually take the next step in their activism life, from that angle, that, you know, like, where their heart goes, because not every activist or not everybody will speak out. Like I speak out, and I know I will be in the jail. So when I speak out, I have to be somewhere else. But then there are those who cannot be in the within under the system of control, still want to speak out. And there are many ways people try find with their own talents. And to me, I mean, I learned a lot of the Myanmar military dictators' problems from those cartoons also when I was young. So I want to know if you will have a plan, or if you are already doing, like, bringing up this young generation to be able to do this very critical work in our collective effort to keep pushing for the real democratic space in every respective of our countries, or to really bring down these dictatorships in our region.
Oh, a lot of questions. Okay, let's start one by one. Let's start first from the artificial intelligence. What is the impact of that? Luckily, I don't forget.
Okay, so the artificial intelligence is easy to answer. I mean, so far there's no implication for political cartoonists. The main problem we got with political cartoons is to get published, whether we draw or whether we make a image by artificial intelligence. Actually, artificial intelligence will pose a problem to artists like painter, or for political cartoon. I don't even think it's a real problem, because some person might have a lot of talent in expressing satire and in making fun of a government, but cannot go. So that would be the opportunity for that person to have a possibility to make a political cartoon without being able to go. So I don't see a problem, but the most important thing in the cartoon is the message, what people know. So no, I don't see a problem with artificial intelligence, but it's a problem for a lot of players, a lot of people have been scared of that, because it might be out of control. So,
Maybe you want to comment on artificial intelligence, apakah ada pengaruh pada?
Artificial intelligence itu menggeser pekerjaan saya. Jadi saya berusaha coba melukis, jadinya jadi merubah konsep kehidupan, jadi membuat komik, harus membuat kartun. Itu aja.
Tapi dijelaskan bagaimana?
Ya, jadi harusnya saya buat kartun, membuat komik, kan ada komik artificial intelligence. Ya, itu juga mengurangi, pertama printing sudah tidak ada lagi di Indonesia. Jadi tidak ada tempat buat kartun.
Dan ini yang Anda buat berbeda nggak?
Ya, ada originalitas karya.
So he's saying, yes, there are now also comics that are done by artificial intelligence, but what differentiates what he's doing, the originality, is not that. I mean, the creative thinking, the new innovation thinking is not that. So you can still do it. Will be different from what artificial intelligence will produce. You?
Right, so I'm actually currently working on artificial intelligence. Our project is about image generation. So I really don't think it will affect the cartoonists at all, because the prompts, the image generators always rely on people's input. Alright, but then mostly the company, like my company that I'm working for, we have those internal policies about fair use. And then the only problem I see is in the future there might be propagandists who will use it because it's easy, it's really fast to generate an AI image. So that's it. But they need to pay, of course. There's a paywall always, and that's not always for free. And then when it comes to the input, I'm not really seeing people using it for that. I mean, the utility of our product is more on personal use, and I haven't encountered anyone using it for politics or Anyway, it's difficult to use AI to generate ideas like that. It can only process information which is very simple, utilitarian in nature, but then it doesn't have its own thoughts. It's not sentient, so we don't really have to worry about it.
Okay, so now what is funny about ASEAN for a political cartoonist?
For a political cartoonist, everything is funny. I mean, this is usually we don't make cartoon about some situation that is already funny. You for example, you have some kind of. Usually, I got this from reader. There's been something really funny happening, and say, why don't you do a cartoon about that? But no, we don't do cartoon about funny things actually. The idea is to turn something that is unfunny into something funny, but not necessarily funny, in the ha-ha way. Something that will bring a smile on you, or not, even not, because the European and the American style of cartooning is different. In the traditional American cartoon, it must be funny. In the European way, it's not necessarily funny anyway. You can make a cartoon about something extremely dark, and you can make a cartoon about a natural disaster. Like for example, natural disaster is a bit special. I mean, normally it's a no-go for newspaper, except if there's a human failure. Like the assistant, the help doesn't come on time, or there's a lot of corruption, so people die not because of the natural disaster, but because of the corruption that happened after the natural disaster. All these kind of things. So you make a cartoon about that, but there's nothing funny about that. And you have to make sure the way you make the cartoon, there's absolutely nothing to laugh about it. So ASEAN, typically ASEAN, you're gonna make fun about the blah blah blah, about the basically the main way we make fun of everything is the blah 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 of the big people. They are the way we see them. They are full of crap. And they behave sometimes like child, typical. But Trump is even, is even worse. I mean, he's so caricatural that it's not even funny for us cartoonists. You know what I mean? It's too excessive in a way. So, but you see, there's so much leader around the world. If you look carefully at them, you see, wow, there's so much immaturity about them. So it becomes easy. The way you look at them in an immature way becomes so easily to make fun of them. You can always, sometimes it takes like 3 minutes to listen, not even 3 minutes, but a second to listen to what they have to say on TV and so. It's like, you see the crap in every sentence they say, so it becomes so easy to make fun of that. It's nearly a second nature for us. But it's not only cartoons, any humorist, satirist, see the world that way. We are kind of grown up who look at the world like their own child. It's kind of, we're supposed to be the childish people, but the way we look at grown up is that no, we see clearly, you are transparent, and we see clearly all the bullshit in the news.
It's almost crap.
Sorry.
Moved on. Okay. Ini apa yang lucu tentang ASEAN? Jika buat kartun, apa yang bisa dibuat lucu tentang ASEAN? Karena ASEAN biasanya membosankan. Jadi bagaimana bisa dibuat lucu? Ini pertanyaan.
Ya, kita harus mengistilahkan gambar jangan realistis ya pada pada persoalan itu, tapi dibuatlah sedikit bercanda supaya orang yang dituju tertawa, jadi nggak terlalu serius dia, dan dia senang dibuat seperti itu. Padahal itu kritik.
Is saying you have to not do in this case, yeah, not the real world is a fantasy world in which the people, the representation are funny, and that makes it funny, although it's a critic. Okay, and then you can answer also this question that was particularly short.
Yeah, sure. So, to enable to, so that Filipinos will appreciate the ones with hard messages, you have to appeal to their emotions first. So, of course, the first thing you need to do really is to make them laugh at first, and then before you insert your ideas at the end. Basically, that's it. So, they will. First, you need to humor their and then appeal to their emotions before you can introduce any idea. Or but the only problem that happens is the inaction. The actions are not there. Just the thought, realizations, and insights, but then no actions. That's the end of our role. We just need to send a message, and then if we do not do anything about it, then alright, this is why we still have we do this, why we draw this. I mean, maybe I'll appreciate it more if we really don't have to do this anymore. Alright, that's it. As long as we are in, that means there is a problem in our society.
Okay, anyone want to answer to Kinomar, and then I will answer. So about the preparation of the next generation.
I mean, for my career as a political cartoonist, I could see I was talking more to my generation than the young generation. The young generation have different interests, and they are not so interested except for the hardcore activists. We are not representative of the whole generation. So they have their own way of making fun of the power, but we represent a kind of has-been way of making fun of the society. So the more interested in comics, the more and it's kind of, you see on social media, something that really somehow frustrates me a lot. If you look at Twitter, you look at the phone,
Okay, unfortunately we have to round up, but I think if you see around this floor as well as downstairs, you will see that can be a little bit optimistic in the sense that there are young people that are also embracing the political cartoon as the medium of communicating to the public on issue. Of course, this is incentivized by the competition, but some of them do this on their own, and this is just a way to show that there are people that are doing this. In answer to your question, yes, I hope to bring it to Jakarta. This will be my dream, because this is about ASEAN. It should be seen by people in the secretariat, if possible. There is already a gallery that is interested. We are looking for funding. So if you have an idea about funding, yes, we will migrate to, of course, some part will have to be adjusted. This is stickers or cannot be used, but the one downstairs can be brought to Jakarta easily. So it's not going to be too expensive enterprise. So this is the next step. With Gandjar, we are considering to move it to Jakarta, maybe March or April if we manage to do so. But this is still in the dream stage at the moment. It's not yet realized. So I think this is the conclusion for today, but the conversation can continue. So please do visit the curve wall as well as downstairs and the corner space near the coffee shop. We have also booklets with the complete work, including translation in Thai, which also we have done, and that was really an headache, I must say, to translate the comments on the comics, which are quite succinct, into something in another language that is not been an easy enterprise, but it's important for a place like this. So there is the comic book, and of course you can always give a donation for future activity of SEAJunction and enjoy the food and coffee outside of the room. Thank you very much to our speaker, and see you to the next SEAJunction event, which actually is in a few days. On the 25th, we are going to have a panel together with the Bangkok Art Biennale on power dynamics and art in Southeast Asia. So please do come. Thank you very much.